welcome back to your new favorite movie review YouTube channel, Mann Cinema Reviews. And if you don't know, now you know. It is your lovely host, Peter Mann. What's up, y'all? Before we get into today's review from the latest from body horror auteur, director himself, David Cronenberg, in his latest Crimes of the Future, we got to take care of some business, and that is to press like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell as well to notify you of any and all reviews to this channel. Thank you very much for choosing Mann Cinema Reviews. So in the not so distant future, where the next stage of human evolution, there is a more synthetic environment, and we have the body performance artists Saul Tenser, played by Viggo Mortensen, and his lovely assistant Caprice, played by the ever so lovely Seydoux, displaying Saul Tenser's organs in a surgery where Seydoux has them on display, as well as portraying these elaborate tattoos on organs that Viggo Mortensen is constantly creating internally. Again, there is definite mutations going on with the human evolution. There are people on the streets that are just cutting themselves randomly as we do not feel pain. There is also a side plot of this human organization trying to expose what's going on with this synthetic environment, as well as two people that work for the organ registry that want to get involved with Saul Tenser and Caprice, as well as a new crime unit, New Vice, trying to expose all of these new mutations. Now, there seems to be a lot going on, and it seems very convoluted, but it's very baseline, very straightforward, even for a Cronenberg film. And what I liked most about this film, and I'm going to give you the cons as well as the pros. So let's start with the pros. The pros is just the key players. We have Viggo Mortensen, Seydoux, Kristen Stewart giving a great performance with about 10 to 15 minutes of screen time, as well as Speedman. And what I liked about this eclectic cast is that everybody is bringing something new to the table, with whether it's Viggo Mortensen that is in a more kind of laid back role that he's used to. He's usually this like strong, bold leading man, especially in the Cronenberg films prior, as well as Seydoux. I think she has a lot more spontaneity. She has a lot more to do. She's very elegant. And these two teamed up is very seductive. Their sensuality is just very palpable. You can cut it literally with a knife. And that's what they literally do to each other. Again, Seydoux was once a trauma surgeon, and now she's turning into a body performance artist, as well as Viggo Mortensen, who's kind of her palette. He's kind of like her canvas, if you will. And we have Kristen Stewart that works for the organ registry. These two characters that work for this organ registry that want to get involved with what Seydoux and Viggo Mortensen's doing, as well as a side plot of Speedman with an estranged wife and a son that has a special mutative ability of consuming plastic. And I think what Cronenberg is doing here is there's a lot of world building, and I like the world building. It's very creative, it's very provocative, yet it does feel small scale. I feel like there should be more grandiose. It feels very surface level, but I like kind of the analog of what the elements are in this film. So that's all the pros that I have, as well as a very impressive Howard Shore score as well. It's very atmospheric, it's very ethereal, and that's what you need in this, sci-fi futuristic Cronenberg film. where he's just giving you a barrage of themes. The biggest takeaway is, I guess, the human race. When he wrote this back in 1998, it's very ahead of its time, where nobody it was even talking about consuming microplastics, and that it's found in most of the population even today. So I guess we're consuming plastic, and whether or not it's good for us, it's kind of a warning, because again, with human evolution, Viggo Mortensen's character can just develop new organs daily. That's kind of what he is doing with the help of Seydoux and these devices that look very analog. They're kind of like surgeon kind of tables that have like these very what look like skeletons, as you know, the scalpel and the vice that opens these wounds. It's very analog, and I kind of like it. It's kind of a double-edged sword, because the technology kind of looks dated. Kind of looks like what he could have done back in the late 80s. Again, this is his first foray into body horror since existence, and he took a break from that and did more of like crime dramas with what I'm more familiar with Cronenberg's filmography, and that's A History of Violence and Eastern Promises, again with Viggo Mortensen. I happen to like those films, and they do have a little bit of body horror elements. Or what I came to find out with Cronenberg, who's just a diehard atheist, it doesn't really necessarily look at the macabre. It's more of a body beautification to him. Very interesting view that he has of the human race, but that's what he brings to the table, and a lot of Cronenberg fanatics and Cronenberg heads will definitely enjoy what he is doing with the world building, which again, even on a small scale, seems impressive. Now with the cons, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna tell you right now that I really didn't care for this film. I didn't like how cold the film leaves its audience. Now, if you are a Cronenberg fan, I guess I am not aware of the more body horror elements. I did see The Fly as of late, but I missed out on Scanners and Videodrome. So I even want to see the provocative 1996 Crash. But again, I'm not familiar with that filmography of yesteryear with Cronenberg. So again, to me, even its body horror elements were kind of disappointing. All the grotesque scenes that you see in the trailer, that's pretty much all the grotesque scenes that you see. You nearly see half of what is on display here. So even with that, I felt it was very baseline, very straightforward. It didn't leave any room to show the provocative. And again, in this day and age, it's very hard for Cronenberg to be provocative or be, controversial, if you will, because he's done it all, we've seen it all, and he just has to find new ways to shock his audience. And I don't think he quite is successful at doing so. I didn't feel like all the elements here came to fruition. I felt like with every detail or every new nuance or every new kind of issues that he brings about, I was about to get invested. And there's like this kind of love triangle that is going on with Kristen Stewart, Seydoux, Viggo Mortensen. There's like sexual intrigue. This film, again, feels very horny. A lot of fans of this film feel like they were seduced. I felt flaccid, really. I felt it's very boring in that aspect where, surgery or whatever, their body performance artists is like the new sex. And that's kind of like substitute, because we don't feel, or human beings don't feel, these pain receptors. So people are just cutting themselves, where people are like having sex or making out in public. They're like literally cutting themselves. But again, even with that, I felt like there was a lot of provocative things going on here. But every time I got invested, he pulls away. He introduces a new character or a new side plot, and right when you're about to get invested, he pulls away. And then there's this like great follow up to the ending, and then it ends abruptly. And I gotta say, with that last third act, this film, again, I feel like it's drawing very parallels to Alex Garland's Men, and I feel like it's funny that a lot of people that didn't like that film but love this film, I'm in the camp where I loved Men, and I didn't really care for Crimes of the Future. Now, I did do my Googles, I did do my sleuthing, so I did get the context. I did go back and I saw what Cronenberg was doing here. But again, a lot of these hot button topics and these issues, very high concept, they really don't come in a very cohesive manner. And that's what I felt like. This film just leaves you very cold. And if you are here for Cronenberg's body horror, again, even that element felt tame to me. So I felt like it ended so abruptly, and I was really, it was like a shot in the dark. I was lost throughout the duration of this film, and I feel like I get into the emotionality of films. I really get into the human condition, and it's a lot more cerebral with Cronenberg. And so if you're here for that, that's great, but I was here for something else. I felt like I was promised something and I got something else. I get all these concepts and themes, but I felt like he didn't explore nearly enough with the space. So with that, I did feel very disappointed with this film, and I was very looking forward to this film. It was high on my list of anticipated films. I gotta say, I was kind of deeply disappointed with this film. Mann Cinema Reviews will give this a very cold 1.5 stars, nearly 2. I think realistically it's a 2-star film, but for me, as far as being engaged with it and the replay value, I feel like I need to see this 2 or 3 more times, but I don't really care to ever revisit this film, in all honesty. But let me know if you thought differently. Let me know down in the comments below if you liked it, you enjoyed it, you thought it was the best film of the year, or if you were like me in the camp where I was kind of disappointed with this film thoroughly. Thank you very much for choosing Mann Cinema Reviews, and we'll see you on the next one.